So Wes and Grant are with HomeGuard Funding based in Newmarket, Ontario. And Wes, tell us a little bit about your office and your team and how long you've been in the industry.
I've been in the industry about 20 years, but started brokering in 2013. Our team's a small family office in Newmarket. We've got two underwriters that support us and an admin officer that helps us with compliance. And we've got 4 or 5 main brokers that feed the underwriters, and then we have a whole bunch of about 15 other independent agents that also run independent from our main practice.
Awesome. And Grant, how about you? How long in the industry and when did you guys really dig in and commit to velocity?
Well, with me, I've been in the business since '02. It's similar to you, Julie. We were early adopters. It's actually one of the reasons why we actually wanted to come over to MCC was because of velocity in the early days. And as you know, it wasn't ready at the time. And very similar to you, we kind of jumped back in and we were blown away by all the updates, all the tech updates, and obviously all the the lender submissions were ironed out. So we've jumped in. We're still learning like you. I feel like we've got a pretty good handle on it. What's important with us is just trying to systemize everything and trying to just get that. We're always doing the same thing. We've got conditions that we got to make, and we just are clear and really that's our main focus is just trying to systemize the whole process.
Absolutely. I love that. So I think, Grant, when we emailed about this, you let me know it was National Caesar Day. Is that right? Was it you or was it Wes? Okay. So guys, because you're giving up all your secrets today, I mean, you're going to tell us everything about Velocity and how awesome your business is. We want to hear all the secrets. I have for you guys. Look at this. I'm putting these in the mail. This is Alberta vodka from Alberta Distilleries.
Thank you.
It's amazing. And look at this guy, made in Medicine Hat, Alberta. It's a little Caesar mixer. This is one for each of you is going in the mail. So it's just a little
Julie.
thank you.
Very nice.
Thanks, Julie.
National Caesar Day. So let's get right into it. I'm really interested in my first question, and you guys just jump back and forth on who wants to answer. How did you adapt your business to Velocity? And as important, how do you adapt Velocity to work with your business? I think we talked about this in our Zoom, which is all of us have all these systems and processes, and then you grab this new piece of technology that's so powerful, and you go, how am I making this work? So how did you adapt really the business to the system and the system to the business when you first got going in it?
Well, I think like we've been through a lot of change. Grant and I, we've tried almost every system in the market, and you're always searching for that golden egg. And quite frankly, I feel like we've found it in Velocity. As Grant mentioned, when we joined MCC in 2018, we came here. A big part of our decision was because of Velocity. And it wasn't ready for our business at that time, but similar to you, we jumped back in this year, and it's amazing how much they've put into the system. And I think that the main thing, though, as an agent or somebody running your own deals, is just get in there and try a deal. You can even, like as everybody's shown, you can have the classic view, which is same as expert. We work. Both Grant and I work in the modern view now. And if there's one thing I can say, the biggest impact in terms of just looking at deals is the way that they present assets and liabilities in Velocity. Like everybody who has used Expert, I don't know how many times I've selected the wrong debt to be paid off because you couldn't follow it over. Yeah. But it's very clear in Velocity. So
it is regular. I'm a huge fan of the modern view. We agree on that. I love that view. I think it's awesome.
A couple of tips and tricks that I like, if I went back in time and started from what I've learned, I would say the first thing you should do is enter a deal, but the second thing you should do is work on getting all of your current in-flight pipeline deals in there to the proper statuses, because that'll give you a real good optics on your entire business, where everything's at. And from there, that's when you've got to work with the system to figure out how you're gonna engage with it, who's doing what and when. But that's sort of how I would have done it if I started over, rather than bringing in all my historical deals and not really understanding how the system was going to act. And because we ended up with a little bit of cleanup from from probably jumping in a little too quickly there. But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. I think that's really important. You're right. It's I say this to everyone, a clean and tidy, organized dashboard is a thing of pure joy, right? For the sales mind and for the administrative mind. It is a pure joy when you can jump into that dashboard and everything is in the right column. I think a lot of times people fight against the columns. They say, well, why isn't it called this? I want to change the name. Like, let that go and let the system guide you, because when you get comfortable with the columns and the dashboard and the stages, what happens is it starts to make a lot of sense. And then the interesting part is the new CRM is tied to all of those stages. So it's really important for people to get super comfortable with, what does each column mean? What does each stage mean? Why are apps in those stages? I agree with you. I was careful, because I had heard some stories about just this historical deals. I was really careful not to grab them all. And I've been slowly bringing them in as I need to work on them. So I think that's a really important part. Okay, Grant, here's one for you. What do you think your favorite part of the system is? The part that you find super helpful in your daily life as an agent? And what do you think that part does to improve your business? Is there just one thing you really, really like, and how is it helping?
There's a few. I would say for me, the top one is probably the smart conditions. From a standpoint of time, we're doing the same thing every time. Self-employed, employed, over and over. For us to just be able to work the deal, input the information on the boards, and have the smart conditions be pre-populated. It does a number of things. For me, it's time. I think for when we're coaching and we're training some of our newer agents that are coming in, it's a confidence for them. It's a time saver for them, but it keeps them on track on understanding what they need for documents. So a big time saver. It just really helps kind of tighten up the deal and create efficiencies on the deal. So I think for me, that's the big one.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I love the entire documents and conditions section, and I love the smart docs as well, the smart conditions. We've been adding a lot of those. I also love this idea that you can have conditions, and a lot of people don't realize this. You can have conditions that aren't just lender conditions. You can have conditions that you just want to meet yourself, or you want your staff to meet. So we have a lot of other conditions. One of them is, for example, our payroll cover sheet. That's a smart condition on every app that's built in, so that myself, as the managing broker, I can jump into any application, and if there's a payroll challenge, I can immediately see that cover sheet. So I think the conditions and docs works really well for organizing lender conditions, but I think it was really cool to be able to organize other things that you maybe just want your staff done. Another condition we've added recently is a gifting condition. So again, we call those internal conditions. They're our conditions. And we have a little gifting piece in there. And then there's a little note made by our staff, the staffer who handles that, which is Sarah. And every time that gift goes out, she just puts a little note as to what date the gift went out in that condition and what was sent, which company we used, and things like that. She even records the cost for me, so that ultimately, as I'm managing all those apps, I can see, exactly who got what when. I really like that. So I love that section too.
The other thing I really like about those smart conditions is that if you as a broker owner can develop these smart conditions, you can push them out to your entire firm so that all of your agents don't need to repeat. And then they can, once they have them, they can say, oh, maybe I don't really like that piece. So you can turn them off or on, and it's a huge time saver for the entire firm.
That's a great point. And you're also helping out, those newer agents. Let's say maybe they're brand new to the industry, or they've come over from a bank, the bank side into the broker channel. They're not used to how our conditions work. You're also you're right, helping streamline your training. You're also reducing your time, I think, in terms of hey, I don't get this. Hey, Grant, help me out. You know, you're really being proactive and helping every agent understand exactly what the wording is. The one thing I like about the smart conditions is you can make the great little descriptors in the wording. So you basically created all of those. I think you have a lot, right? And you created all this
Yeah.
and you pushed them out. Okay,
Mhm.
that's really cool for
Can I
broker
pause
owners.
for a second there? I just want to mention, helpful for everyone, in the chat, I'm actually posting links to a lot of the stuff they're talking about, where you can find the training sessions or the quick videos for it. So make sure to check out the chat for those links.
Yeah, so Sarah, we have a question that says, how do I push out the smart conditions to everyone else? And correct me if I'm wrong, but essentially we all, as a broker owner or a team lead, we all have basically broker owner / team lead accounts. It's a different login. I log in as Julie Jeffrey mortgage agent, or I log in as Julie Jeffrey broker owner. When I log in as the Julie Jeffrey broker owner account, that is where Wes would create those smart conditions. And when he creates them in that account, they're automatically flowing out. There is no sort of push. Is that right, Sarah?
Yeah,
There's a button you push.
it's
The
an
push.
admin,
Okay.
it's an account status. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a separate account, or it doesn't have to be your own account. You can have an admin person in the office. So it's basically, we can take any account and assign it the admin status, and they're able to do
Okay.
things like sharing of the templates, of the workflows, of the smart conditions and stuff like that.
Nice. That's awesome. That's what we've
And
all.
oh, sorry, go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, we have a small team. There's only 5 of us, so we all did our own conditions. Wes is Wes is much nicer than I am. My team's on this call. They're going to be like, why Wes built all the conditions for his team. Sorry guys, you're smart enough. You've
I was
been.
actually hoping an idea for Newton would be to allow the broker owner or compliance officer to set up, because you can template your disclosures to borrower. So if you as a firm wanted specific wording for specific products, I would love to see Newton come up with a way for us to template those out and push them to our agents, because it would certainly help with compliance and not having to go back and fix up errors.
Yes,
Great.
yeah, that's a great idea. I love that. Okay, so we're going to move on to, so Grant, let's stick with Wes. Wes, I'm really interested in, what do you think what was the biggest challenge, the biggest hurdle or frustration in making the move to Velocity? And you guys really dug in and learned, but how did you kind of accelerate the learning curve? Because we are all busy. And most people on this call are very successful agents. We have so little time, but what's the biggest challenge, and how did you guys just really accelerate your learning to just kind of rip off the bandage and get this done? Or did you maybe not rip off the bandage? It took a while. I don't know.
Well, I think for us, it was more anxiety that Newton kept making their system so amazing that we were forced to move over, because as I mentioned, we've been through a few different systems, and every system you start takes time and to develop that process. So I had some anxiety moving over, but once we jumped into it, and it's really, I think a key thing is you can't just jump into a system and use it without understanding the end user experience. So I highly recommend that you start, if you're an agent, start by sending yourself your own client journey and see what they see, because that will help you troubleshoot any issues. But it really just helps you understand, okay, if I do this in my system, my client sees this. If I do this, my client sees that. And that was a big thing for me, just kind of, and I know that takes time, and I know we're all really busy, but client experience, we're in the service industry. We want the client to have a good experience, and we can't make sure that happens without knowing what happens on the other end, right?
Yeah, I love that idea. We do that as well. I have what I call my Minnie Mouse account, and that's just me and my personal Gmail. And every one of our admin staff have test accounts as well, because I think also when you're teaching and training your admin staff, it's super. There's fear for them around, this is new, and I'm going to hit send on this email, and is it asking for the right documents, and does it look good? So for us, we just always say, if you're worried at all, if you're unsure, just quickly send yourself that email in a test. That's also the one thing I love about the ability to send out emails. If you send it to yourself in a test, you can go back to the exact same email, open it up again, and just click the client and send to the client. I mean, we're talking about 10 seconds for someone who's on our admin team to get super comfortable. But I do agree, it creates confidence when you've done a few apps yourself. You've been Minnie Mouse, Mickey Mouse, you've done the apps, you've sent them in, you've experienced uploading documents. Yeah, I think you're right. That's super helpful for sure. And Grant, how do you think that you guys sort of, you've really gone all the way in and you're really into the system. How do you think you accelerated the learning curve? Did you use the video content? Did you do training? What did you do, Grant, to really learn it?
A bit of both. I mean, I really, it's just a matter of jumping in. I think, and when we're working with some of our new agents, I think it's just a confidence, not even a confidence, it's just a matter of, you're not going to do anything wrong. You know, the systems is very manageable, where really, you know, you can correct things, you can manipulate, you can edit. I think that's one of the biggest challenges, especially for maybe some newer people coming in, or, you know, at our firm, we got some of the old dogs, old dinosaurs, a little tech challenge to say the least. But
Hi, Bill.
yeah, that's going to be that's the biggest thing. Just play. It's a combination. It's some sleepless nights trying to get all my data over. But again, it's like Wes alluded to. It's, what is this all about? It's about the clients that we're trying to help out, and if we can make their experience better, if we can create efficiencies with the documents, you know, present better packages to the lenders, it's the greater good of everything, and ultimately it's going to help the clients. So that's really what it's all about. If anyone new on here, just jump in. You know, feel free to reach out to Wes or I. We're always willing to help out or give tips, or you know, you can always Google us. You can find us. You can put our
And
contact info.
the training
Yeah.
team over at Newton, I think I have them on speed dial. Michelle
Oh, yeah.
loves me, and she
Michelle's
helps us big
fantastic.
time.
The best.
Hopefully Michelle
Maybe-
doesn't is not cursing our names, but she's been fantastic.
Yeah, I mean,
So thanks, Michelle.
it's certainly a good time to give a big shout out to Sarah and the entire training team. You know, Michelle and Vivian and everyone at customer care. Every time I call in, you know, I call in just as much as everyone else, and call in or send a ticket, and you know, we have little challenges here and there. I just find that the support, I think it's that thing we're not used to, because in other pieces of tech in the mortgage industry, there isn't always as much support. So I love that you have all these options. I love the little training videos. They're 1 to 2 minutes long. I've watched them all absolutely every time, but I watched them again. I watched one yesterday, and the advanced training, there's something person had a question on, I couldn't figure it out, and I watched the video, there was the answer. So that, and also the Facebook page, you know, the Facebook group has been such a help for people to post a question, to share answers. What I'm hoping, you know, we right now, we have almost 200 people on this call right now, is I also love this when I see those, hey, here's a win. Like, here's something really cool that I love that the system does. I hope we all try our best, if we're in that page, to post our wins, because sometimes our wins are what give other people who are just getting into it the confidence to keep going. So I really try my best to jump in there and post things that are really working for me as well.
I have a couple of wins in Velocity because I got all my data in there, and I had a birthday reminder come up from a client who I haven't spoken to in probably 7 years. I called him and I got a deal out of it. So there's a win.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's true.
Without
I
even
mean,
having the system working. And then I've put into my CRM an automated text that goes out to the borrowers after I've completed a new application. It's just kind of re-explaining my process, you know, what emails I've sent them, what they need to do. And I was a little bit, you know, I've never done video before, but the response has been amazing. And everybody replies that, you know, thank you so much. This is helpful. And, you know, it's like you said, like you just dive in, try things. What's the worst thing that can happen? You know, something goes out and you say, oh, sorry, you know, we're moving to a new system, and it must be an old mortgage that I sent that on, or whatever it is, right?
yeah, that thing happened to me, which is you go like, okay, I'm just going to do this. I'm jumping in, and I was doing some CRM things, and I had some workflows happening for anniversary dates. And I just reminders and some CRMs for anniversary dates. And I had an email that went out, and the client replied that, they had gotten divorced. They were in the process of getting divorced. Right. But it was actually kind of perfect. I feel really bad for her. She's really lovely and she was really sad. But it was like, she was like, I need your help. And I was thinking about you anyway. So I'm so glad that you sent this out to me. And then she's like, well, it's pretty amicable. So I reminded my husband, my soon to be ex-husband, to give you a shout too. Right. So, I mean, all of a sudden there's a realtor referral to sell that house, and there's two new mortgages there. So I always think we're afraid sometimes to reach out to people. We think we're going to be a bother, but I think if the content is really short and really concise, and I almost think in some ways the more generic the content is, the better, because if you get too finite, if you get too detailed, I find that you get overwhelmed. So I try to keep the content really light, really friendly, and fairly generic in everything I send out, so that it kind of fits for all different kinds of apps and situations. But I agree. Let's talk a little more about workflows and the CRM. So are you guys using workflows, and how is that going if you are using workflows? And then you have some things turned on in the CRM. What are your main CRM campaigns right now?
Go ahead, Grant.
Yeah, I'm trying to get low hanging fruit. So my main priority on CRM is the maturities. I think is obviously very important. And I don't know about other agents or other people have done. I found really good success with the newsletter that goes out, and it's been it's been transitioned over, and that is just, I get almost every month I get at least a deal or a really good inquiry or a referral from it. So that's, to me, that's kind of low hanging fruit, the maturities and the newsletter, like I said. And then from there we'll just phase it in and ultimately get everything going. But full disclosure, like you said, we're still kind of working on the CRM. It is relatively new, but like everything else in the system, we're just going to jump in, test, watch the videos, and develop what we want to build out.
Yeah,
And
I'm
if
the same. The anniversaries are a big winner, and I think it's that idea of touching base. It's at least that once a year touch base. That's what I love. And it's just geared around another year's passed. I give a few tips on, paying down the mortgage faster, maybe choosing accelerated, or, putting a little extra lump sums, or just doing a little bit of using an example on an average mortgage size if you paid this much extra. I find I get a lot of response on those anniversaries, because we all know so many people don't get to the renewal date, right?
Yeah,
So many.
exactly.
So there's so much business to be had, I think, by just doing those touch bases for sure. And the newsletter, I love it that it's essentially already created for you, right?
Mhm.
It's already there. The content's there. It's just really you're setting up your audience list. And again, it's mortgage and news. It's generic enough that it works for all kinds of clients, all age categories, all different kinds of properties or mortgage needs. So I think give people the choice. If they want to unsubscribe, let them. But if you don't
Mhm.
send it, how do you know? I hear too many agents who say, I don't want to be a bother. It's like, well, I'm going to be really clear. If you're not a bother, the person who gets in their face and says hi and sends them something is probably going to get their business the next time around. We see that in our industry and the real estate industry. So we have to keep in touch. So I really like that.
And Julie, I
Um,
just want to add a quick little tip for the benefit of the group. One thing that I've noticed, and I've done it relatively, it's relatively new for me, just because the tech is relatively new. But and you hit the head on the annual reviews. What we're starting to do is send out the purview reports for clients, showing them the value. And then the big thing is we're starting to implement the new, um, the calculator, the mortgage calculator, the refinance calculator, where we're kind of seeing right away, really quickly in a few minutes, hey, is there an opportunity to maybe speak out and say, hey, look, you guys got this equity, property value's gone up, we can maybe transfer you out at much lower rate. Yeah, you're gonna be net ahead after you're paying your penalty, and work through that way. And there's some lenders that have some good programs. So I think that's going to be a real game changer going forward.
I
And
think, yeah. Are you guys
yeah,
loving the new version of the calculator? Isn't it the mortgage app? It's awesome,
oh yeah,
right? I
it's
mean, I just think
fantastic.
it's so slick. It's so good. Just another great addition for sure. Another little tool in the arsenal. I have a question here that I think is interesting. Matt Chan. Hi, Matt. Matt, it's Brand, I believe. This is Sharon. Sharon Davis's son, Matt, and he's really new to the industry, you guys. I believe he just finished his course. His mom's been in the industry for a long, no, different Matt Chan. Sorry, I know another Matt Chan. Matt says, no, that's not me. Okay, Matt has a question. Is there a risk in sending out newsletters or essentially content too often? What do you guys think is the safe? How often is, how often is good and how often is too often?
Well, I think it's like you said. I mean, if what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Somebody's going to unsubscribe. At minimum, you need to be touching your clients once a year at minimum, and then like we do send out those monthly newsletters, and whenever it's time for that person to engage, they will remember you, right? Even if they're not reading that newsletter every month, they might read it once every 6 months. But whenever something happens in their life, or maybe their brother or sister are buying a property, oh yeah, this is my mortgage broker. They don't have to look too far in their inbox to find you.
Yeah, it's important to stay top of mind. For sure.
Yeah, they just have to, your name pops into their head and all they need to do is go to their email and just search Wes, and then there's that last newsletter. I find in so many cases, I don't even think people read a lot of the content. I think it's just the fact that they've seen your email. They know it's not a personal email to them. They know it's that newsletter, and they just remember you and think of you. I mean, I think that's what we all want, as my husband is my partner on our team, and we always say, like, if we want every client we have, and if they're at a house party, which please let there be house parties again soon, guys. Nobody who's as outgoing as I am should be in a pandemic like this. Like, I need to go to conferences and I need to go to house parties. Thank goodness for Zoom. At least I get to see people. And we always say, like, if our clients are at a house party or they're, at an event, and the word like, hey, I'm buying a house comes up, we just hope they think of us. And then they had such a good experience that they felt really comfortable with it. It's a great experience. They felt like they had good advice. They felt like the rate was really sound, that they're just going to mention our names, right? So we just want to be in the mortgage world. Any of us, that's all we want, is to be the topic of conversation if the word mortgage comes up. And I'm going to tell you guys a funny story about staying in touch with clients. I have a client who I really love, this young guy, and I really stayed in touch with him. He was getting my newsletter every month. And then I had this about 2 years later, I had this other gal who was a brand new client who was pre-approving. And really funny story. 2 different realtors, the gal, her realtor, called me to say, you won't believe this. I was showing her houses and her brother tagged along, this girl's brother. And she said, they got in a big fight. And I was like, about what? And she said, about their mortgage broker. And guess what? I was her mortgage broker and my husband, Andy, was his mortgage broker. They did not know we were married. And they got in a fight in the house they were looking at as to who had the better mortgage broker. I was like, guys, this would be the perfect video. Can you imagine if I had this on like a hidden camera? Like, I could send this to all my clients.
Who won?
Well, she battled for me and she was buying the house. So she won because she was then the buyer. He already had a mortgage. And then the realtor went, you guys, I think those guys are married to each other. I don't think we need to fight about this.
You both won.
Yeah. Sarah, do we have any audience questions? Is there anything you see that's coming up as other questions?
We do. We have a couple coming in. Rajiv wants to know, are you sending the MCC newsletter? So basically, for now, you need to just copy their content in until we have those officially in the template system, or are you making customized your own versions?
For now, their time is of the essence. So I'm just kind of running with the content that's being provided. It's actually a very good idea. I think we can ultimately get down there. I can't wait to get there down the road. But yeah, so yeah. Hey, Rich, MCC does rock. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I think, you know what, I that's the beauty of this business. Every agent runs their own way. If you want to customize it, that's the beauty. You can, or you can run with kind of out of the box. And you know what, the content they provide is actually really good. I've actually had some people respond to some of them, which is ultimately what you want.
And I think you'd have a better success rate in terms of time at customizing content for specific groups. So, and Velocity allows you to do that. So if you want to have all your realtors on a list, or all of your accountants on a list, or all of your
Variable
nearing
rate
retirement
clients.
on a list, variable rate clients. I mean,
Mhm.
those are that's when you want to customize. But that all takes time. And if you don't have the time, the content that you get from your franchisor is better than no content at all.
Exactly right.
I absolutely agree. You know, it's sending something, not waiting, just sending something. And I also think for many of us, don't you think it's so important? I see this with new agents, is they just sort of rapid fire, they try to focus on everything. I think it's really important to find your wheelhouse and to actually know what that is, which is what's the business that you love doing? What's the most fun? What do you find the easiest business? What gives you the most joy? What's the most profitable? Right? For me, that's purchases. I'm in a Calgary, Alberta. We've had a really slow market. We've had no growth in our value. So not very few refis in sight. So it's also forced me to focus on purchases, which means that I'm really, really good at them. I have a really slick process. I really love first time home buyers. And I think it's like focusing on that. Like, okay, so that's what I love is purchases. I love the first time home buyers. I have certain clients who are first time home buyers who just refer me over and over and over. So I've really hammered in on that. And that's where I spend time on really good content. So I built a flow of 10 emails that go out that are for pre-approved first time home buyers. Right? Because I know if I give them really good content in each of those pieces of content, I have a link to a blog on my website. So it's a short piece of content, I have the link. So we want to think about ways to connect. You guys mentioned Purview, right? I use the links to my blogs, and then I'm pushing everyone back to my website. Where we don't want our clients is drifting around on Google, looking at mortgage questions. We want to be the point of contact and the point of knowledge. So I think that part's really important. Let me do something that you guys are thinking about that you want to add to your process, or you want to make a change on, or something inside of Velocity that you feel like I need to dig into that more, and we're going to dig in and learn a little bit more. Is there any one area in the business that you want to make some change? Is there any area in Velocity you want to dig in and learn more?
Well, the CRM being probably the biggest thing, but in terms of our team, I really want to get workflow. We've got some set up, but we don't have, like, we used to be running with Pipedrive, and we're also considering integrating Pipedrive potentially, but because it's amazing. But in terms of the processing of the deals, all the standard tasks right now, we're still manual. And one thing that Velocity's really done for us and in our team is it's eliminated emails amongst us. Like, if we need our underwriters to do something, we don't email them now. We put it in the deal, in a note, on a task. Emails get lost. That is always there. If they don't get the notification, it's still up in the top right corner of their thing saying, do this. Exactly. If it's not in my day, it's in overdue. So you've got some tasks there.
That too. I wonder if people are using tasks. We use them a lot, and I think if people are looking at what am I adding in, what am I not fully using, I would say definitely really focus on, if you have an admin team, on how are you working together within the system. I agree on the reduction of emails between, the agent and staff. We have almost no emails at all between each other anymore, because we either use the tasks or we use the assignment button. So essentially, our underwriter, if she's a challenge on a file, she knows that she puts a note in explaining the challenge, and she reassigns the application to us. When we get a reassigned app, we actually know for sure there's a problem and we need to have a look at it, and it's fairly urgent. If we're not right at the laptop, we can always call her and then talk through the problem. If we're at the laptop, you can quickly open the app. We then write a note and reassign it back. So that assignment tool, I love that assignment tool. I feel like I don't know how I lived without it. So good.
Yeah, so do we. And for the brokers and agents out there that maybe have couple people that do different, they have assistants, maybe they have a couple, or even if they have one, what we really like about it is on their dashboard, they're only seeing what's assigned to them. So it's not like they're seeing, a whole ton of deals and they're getting lost in it. They can really focus on what they need to be working on. So yeah, the assign button is fantastic. It's a really
It's
good
really
It,
addition.
it, it can also be used in the, like, where you've got
Collaborating.
agents underneath you. You
Yeah.
know, if you've got agents that you're mentoring, you can have that deal on your dashboard. It's assigned to them, they're working on it, but you're still aware of it, and they can reassign it to you if they have a huge question, and then you've got something to work on.
Mhm.
That's such a great idea. I see a couple questions here. Peter, hi. Peter is saying that, are we talking about internal underwriting? Yes, we are talking about our underwriters on our teams, not lender underwriters. His other question was, can you expand on tasks? Are you saying you send a task to our team underwriter? Yes, I'm saying that I have an underwriter, one role, and a document reviewer and compliance who's another role. So if I see a task that needs to be done, something simple. Let's say I see a little problem on the file. I want to send a Visa gift card. I just put a task and I choose Paula or Sarah, $50 Visa gift card to be put in the mail after closing. And I enter that task, and that thought gets to leave my mind. This is what I love about it. We're all busy, and when you're working with clients and you're involved in the sales part and you're trying to pick the lender and the rate, and you're trying to win the business, and then you're trying to make it really smooth, you get really bogged down with so many details. They're just floating around, and I love that you can just do that task, and the task is gone. So that part's really great. Do you guys have any integrations right now, like Django, Blue Mortgage, Zoho, Pipedrive? These are all other pieces of tech that we have now at Velocity. API in or out, which means that if in or out means that the Velocity can communicate out, or incoming information can come from those systems. Do you guys have any integrations right now?
Not right now.
Not right
Yeah,
now, but we're thinking of
about it?
Pipedrive
You're thinking about it.
potentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to get
Okay.
the foundation, we want to get the CRM going, moving, we want to get the process tight, and then we'll think about how we can improve the overall flow going forward. But that's kind of our game plan.
A huge time saver I see for our firm in the future is the compliance piece, because our old process was to, here's a list of documents we need, upload it into Exchange. And then we want them in this order. So everybody has their PDF editor or whatever, or they're uploading single files. All your files are in Velocity if you're using it to its full capability. And you literally can just click, 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 send for compliance, and it's done. I mean,
Yeah, I love that part. I love the
Yeah.
compliance. Yeah, we are using our team, and again, this is sort of the team lead or the broker owner, depending on the model, has to make the decision. And you need exclusive use, because for a lot of people, it's really challenging to have some people using this system and some people using Velocity, and it just that can be a real challenge in the beginning. I think for broker owners and team leads is getting everyone on the same system. But now that we're using it, I know I asked my team the other day, and they're saying we're going from 20 minutes a file, and then it wouldn't upload or it wouldn't save, or you're missing a document, or the order wasn't right, to kind of at most 2.5 minutes per file on compliance right now. Because we're using that inside of Velocity. I also love the ability to, I don't know if you guys do this, but we then use it to make a little note as to what we were paid. So finders, VB, performance bonus, whatever, MPP, whatever's coming in. Our compliance person, when payroll comes in, she just makes, in the notes section, she adds a final note that says compliance is complete, gifting is complete, and here is the comp that came in. And that way, kind of once a month, I can just take a quick flip through all the apps that we've been paid out on, just to do that double check, do my audit, make sure everything looks good. I mean, I always
It's a
find it
really good
amazing.
idea.
Yeah,
Do
it's
you,
so
do you
aware
add
of
tasks
business.
for things like the gifts? Like, do you have
Yeah.
tasks that are done? Yeah.
We have, so we have a workflow for the gifting. The workflow is triggered 7 days after closing date. I like people to get in and get settled and almost forget about
Yeah.
us. And then 2 weeks
Yeah.
later get the gift, and so we want them to be a little settled. So 7 days after the closing date, the workflow reminds Sarah, who does our compliance, to just simply add that name to a Google Docs spreadsheet. And that Google Docs spreadsheet is shared with our gifting company. So it's like 10-second process. I've picked out all the gifts. I know exactly what they look like, the cost. The gifting company has a two-sided color postcard that has our photos and just says thank you. It's actually, for us, it's a family photo of our kids. And it's just like a little family photo that says thank you on the back. It has some mortgage details, you know, some other things. And that just gets popped into the gift. So we don't even write a card. We just send that thank you postcard. People get it. You know, I don't think you need to spend your time writing hundreds of handwritten cards. And every 2 weeks, the gifting company does the delivery as well, and then lets us know exactly who they were delivered to. We're getting such great traction on that. It's been really, there's a cost, which gives me anxiety, of course, for all of us. It's like, whoa, that we're adding a good amount of cost. But people are just responding, texting, emailing. I didn't expect this. I can't believe it. Thank you so much. They're just really thoughtful. They're not expecting their mortgage person to send them a gift. And we're doing sort of eco-friendly, like refill. It's a refillable store, so cleaning products, and they're all refillable. It's a small company in Calgary, so it's highly local. And it's a really cool neighborhood. And she puts a little card in all about her products. So we're getting a lot of good traction on that, for sure.
Good idea.
Julie, the Calgarians, or at least lots of people are asking, I'm guessing it's exclusive to Calgary, but lots of people are asking what company you use.
It's a company that's called Without Co. Without Co. Without Co. just means that without packaging, without plastic, without all the other stuff that goes to the landfill. And they're on 4th Street, Southwest in Calgary. And yeah, Michelle's the owner. Michelle used to be a banker with TD, actually. That's how I know her, and started this company. So yeah, I think that there's things to be added in workflows like gifting or payroll compliance or tracking payroll that are probably just really good add-ons for all of us.
Yeah.
Great. Other audience questions, Sarah?
Yes, we have one on a couple on compliance, wanting to know about customizing compliance from brokerage standpoint. Is there anything that you do there?
We can't really answer that yet, because we have made the decision to move the firm over to Velocity, and we've given our agents notice. We're trying to transition, so we're building that process right now. But I really love just like Michelle showed it, and that's the thing. Like, don't be a stranger to reach out to the training team. They know where all the information that you need to build your processes, and you're not going to follow their exact process, but you're going to follow probably 80% of it, and then add in whatever is specific to your firm and is specific to what you need. That's so right. Pretty much everything that you need is either on that training page, which is fantastic, or in the help. I don't know what that company that you use, but it's all there, and it's really straightforward, and the videos are amazing.
Yeah, the videos are so great. The compliance section on the videos is really easy to use. It's just so quick and so efficient. And then a year from now, you know, we used to use different storage facilities, and the documents, where are they from 2017? Which one are they in? Which storage facility? And you're looking through and you're digging. And I just really committed when I started Velocity to go, if this is a 360-degree view, in my opinion, of my business. So this is all the way from lead right into those mortgage anniversaries, those annual touch bases. It can be everything. I was a really committed Django user, like loved it, and have a very complicated setup that I loved, and it worked. But I think I overcomplicated it. Do you guys ever find that is like, sometimes for all of us, we can like make things way more complicated than they need to be? My staff never loved Django at all. They found it to be a little difficult to manage. So for me, we've actually given up that. I can integrate it. I have the API in and out, but I'm not going to. We're kind of recreating a lot of those processes in Velocity. So yeah, I think it's trying to keep it simple. There was a question you guys mentioned Purview, and something about, I think one of you mentioned that you actually integrate the details into an email. How do you do that?
Well, we haven't automated that yet. It's a bit of a manual process, but it doesn't take long, and we're doing the when you think about it, we're doing the manual MCC refinance calculator anyway. Again, and you know what we used to do is have this convoluted. I mean, Wes knows we had Excel spreadsheets, and I'm sure a lot of brokers can attest to this. And what I like about it, the way I see it, is that we've saved so much time through the MCC refinance calculator that it's really not a big deal just to kind of, do that manual process and then make the annual call.
Right.
I got to tell everybody, like, one of the biggest successes for me as a broker is that annual review. I cannot underestimate how powerful that is. And not even if you don't even for getting a refinance, I just find from the referral standpoint, it's a very good tool to do, and just keep in touch. One other
Yeah.
touch point.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get better at it. This is my year where I know I should be, and I just don't have a really great hard and fast system. I feel like once I commit to this is my little system or process, this is how I'm going to do it, I do it. When I do it, I agree. It's so good for business, isn't it? It's just they start to, the client thinks of you again, and they go to that, they're at the grocery store, they're talking to their neighbor or their coworker about buying a house, and they're thinking about us. The one thing that I have done recently, because I've been working on renewals coming up this year and trying to get 6-8 months ahead of those renewals, is to really book those calls with clients, is at the same moment, I'm also going back to my old CRM, and I'm making sure I'm cleaning up that historical data in Velocity. So when I'm working on those renewals, so I think it's like I've taken my 2016 closed business, which is now renewing, and just like, okay, I'm going to take that whole year, and while I'm doing these renewals, make sure it's cleaned up in Velocity. And also taking that minute or two to look at who was the old referral source, who referred that client. And often it's a realtor, or it's an accountant, or it's financial planner, and just sending them a quick note saying, hey, I just did a call with Grant Brown. Do you remember that 5 years ago you referred him and he bought a house? And I'm finding there's so much business to be had in just reconnecting as well with that original referral partner. And it's only adding maybe 2.5 minutes to the process. I built a little stock email that I send out. So that I find is working really, really well. Matt is saying, can you share your annual review process? I find clients sometimes don't respond to emails or requests. Like, how do you get them on the phone, Grant? Or is it a call, or is it more email?
It's an automated email, and then we do a reminder to do a follow-up call. So
Right.
that's kind of it in a nutshell. The system will
So,
remind us. You got to do that manual work on the refinance calculator anyway.
yeah.
So it's not like, to me, it's I just have the big thing is the reminders, and to do it. But I so quite simply, I have the reminder for the review, and then I do, it takes a minute or two to do the purview report, and then I quickly do the refinance calculator through the app, and that's kind of my process from there. And then
Yeah, we're the same. And I think that's where you can
yeah.
integrate, like maybe Calendly, right? So we use Calendly in our mortgage anniversaries and our mortgage reviews. So we always have our Calendly link in those emails. So those emails are being pushed out by our old CRM, soon to be pushed out by the Velocity CRM. And we just have our link, and I find that they're getting a bit of content, they're getting a bit of knowledge, and they can choose, the client gets to choose to book in with you when it works for them, right?
Calendly is a game changer.
I love Calendly. I think it's
So
one
it's
of the
funny.
best
So
things.
Julie, so a quick thing about that. Wes got onto Calendly. He's an early adopter of it. I just got on it today, actually. Full disclosure. And what I'll tell you, I didn't understand it. And what I didn't want to have happen, I was concerned that I had to update my calendar. I'm like, oh, what if I don't do it? I'll forget to do it. Someone will start, plugging me in. But what I didn't realize was that it actually coordinates with your Outlook calendar. So it actually recognizes all your appointments that are already in there, and it just works around that. So for the benefit of
Yeah,
the group, and it's free.
yeah,
Everyone, I don't know if you want to maybe put a link to it, Sarah, but it's Calendly is a very good idea to
it's
integrate
very,
into your
very good.
business.
And I mean, all
And
you
it's
have to
simple.
remember in Calendly is to plan your days off. If you're on vacation, you have to put your vacation in your calendar, or, you're taking your kid to the dentist, you have to put that in your calendar, because I found
Yeah.
what would happen is I wasn't good at pre-planning out when I was going to be away. And then all of a sudden, you're on the way to the airport and you're doing client call in the car. We've all done those, right? You're trying to play it like you're at your desk. You're not at your desk. When we could travel in the good old days.
Yeah.
Okay, so we only have a few minutes left. I quickly want to let everyone on the call know what's coming. The most exciting thing that's coming to Velocity, and it is beyond cool, and it references what we're talking about, is it's called Build Reports. there is going to be able to be this great little area in Velocity where there will be 48 points of data. So I want you to think about the fact that you can choose lender, you can choose interest rate, you can choose the renewal year, you can choose high ratio or conventional, 25-year AMs, 30-year AMs, 48 different points of data, okay? You can make all of those points of data searchable at the same time, and it's going to create reports, which are lists of clients who fit into those categories. So wouldn't it be fun for all of us and interesting for business to go, okay, who are all the clients I've ever had at X lender who are in a variable rate, right? Who are all the clients I've had who are under, whatever, 229. You can even set a range and interest rate. So I think that's going to be so cool. It's called Build Reports. And what's really cool is Build Reports is ultimately going to be able to create audience lists for your CRM to contact. Right?
Nice.
So you pull your list, you build your report, and you can plop that into the CRM for your audience list. And think about all the times where when Prime's going to change someday, it is, we know it's coming, you guys, it's someday, hopefully not too soon, but someday. Wouldn't it be cool if you could just like click send on a mass email to every client in your database that's in a variable rate to reassure them they made a good choice, right? To remind them they can always move into a fixed rate. And third, that they should call you before they do so. Boom, one email, that'll be like a 3-minute process to be able to pull up that report and get that.
Or text message, right, Julie?
Text, yeah. Sarah, is that right? Can it be texting? Sarah's saying yes, she's nodding yes to texting. So it's called Build Reports. It's coming very, very soon. If you're kind of a CRM geek like I am, I cannot wait for that. I think it's going to be amazing. And we have about a minute left. Sarah, I just want to, on behalf of everyone on the call, and I know for sure Wes and Grant, all of us who love this system, who are having so much fun working in it, we're finding efficiencies and increasing production. I just want to send out a big thank you to Jeff Willis and Kevin Deere, who are the co-founders of Velocity. People do not realize that these guys are brokers. They are mortgage agents and brokers who are helping brokers. They have put years and years of dedicated time, energy, work, and investment into creating this system. I think it's really extraordinary. So congrats, guys, on your achievements. We are now crossing 10 billion, that was a B, $10 billion a month in mortgage business flowing through Velocity. So it's very, very cool. And thanks, Wes and Grant. I love talking to you guys. You're awesome.
Same.
Love the way you
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
And this is on the way. There's one for each of you. Okay. This is heading to Newmarket, Ontario. Do not drink it all at once. Drink responsibly. And we're hoping, Sarah, that everyone on the call registers for the Thursday, June 3rd session of Masterclass. We're going to host this every 2 weeks. And the next one is going to be really focused on increasing efficiency and increasing production. And I don't know if he's on the call, but I'm really hoping Matt Key, who's a friend of mine in Calgary, who's a really dedicated Velocity user, will be our guest. And we'll have a couple other guests as well on that call. So it's Thursday, June 3rd. And you do need to register for each session. And thanks again, you guys. I think you added so much value to everyone on the call today. It's awesome.
Thanks,
really
everyone.
Yeah.
One very
Go
important
Leafs, go
thing.
too.
Go Leafs, go. That's right.
Yeah.
Go Leafs, go. Yeah. Awesome.
It's so great when people can hear straight from the brokers themselves. It's really, really helpful. Before we do sign off today, I just want to quickly show you guys where you can find all this amazing training material that they were talking about. I've also pasted in the chat the link to sign up for the next masterclass, so make sure to do so. And I'm going to share my screen quickly to show you. So Newton.ca, where you always go to log in, we should all know this page. Right next to login, there's a Learn tab here. So if you haven't seen this yet, definitely go ahead and click it, because this is where all of our self-guided training material lives. And we've broken them down as super simple and quick video segments as possible. You can always come and do a search to find what you need as well. So maybe you're in a rush, don't remember how to do credit bureau in the system, go ahead and search it out and you'll get a quick video to answer that question. We also recently added the Velocity CRM line, which you can go to get training for all things CRM. Lastly, if you want to attend any of our live online training sessions, which we hold regularly, under the menu up in the top right here, if you just scroll over to live online training, you can get the chance to either sign up live or watch any of the pre-recorded sessions here that cover a lot of the topics that these guys were tapping into today, as well as much, much more, like our e-sign, easy account access, and things like that.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you
Yeah.
for co-hosting and moderating all the questions today too.
Of course, happy to. All right, thanks so much, guys. Make sure to sign up for the next session, and we hope that you all learned something great and took away from this.